think we're live now, both on YouTube and Facebook. Good morning, everybody. Or should I say good
Hello.
afternoon? Because it's
Good
12 o'clock.
morning. Good afternoon. Yeah.
We're
That doesn't
yeah, I
really
keep
look good on us
confusing. But,
when you say good morning at 12
after-
o'clock. Yeah.
yeah, I think the thing is, this is the first thing actually after the initial meeting. So it's almost like, oh, okay, it's the morning one. So anyway, it's the lunchtime one. Even though I just had my breakfast. Not that people need to know about that, but I'm trying new vegan protein shake, so I was very keen on reading that. But anyway,
Aren't you
just wanted to
supposed to
share
take
that.
that if you exercise a lot? How are you exercising in the current situation?
Well, you can with protein, but it's a pre-workout and post-workout. I'll talk to you about it in a sec.
Ah, okay.
Now, every week we've decided within the Solent Creative team, and I think everyone who's been watching those, that there should be a topic of every catch-up. Not every time, but it'd be nice to kind of discuss different things. So, on today's topic, we're going to be discussing volunteering.
What have you prepared?
How what's that?
What have you prepared for us today?
Okay. So, I'm just going to give you a bit of a background just to kind of explain why this topic came around. I've been talking to quite a few people, and also I think like in the news and everywhere you read about how people with skills that they can offer do something to help, the whole lockdown. So, for example, from designers who design face masks to 3D artists who use their printers to produce, other PPEs. And it's just interesting to see how people give their own time and resources to support a big cause. So I thought, let's see what kind of conversation we can have around that. For example, one of my friends, he's on a furlough, so he doesn't work, but he's been asked by his employer to volunteer 2 days a week. So yesterday, for example, he was at the workplace and they did over 16,000 meals for key workers. So that was quite interesting to kind of see how these people contribute with their skill set. I mean, his general manager, obviously, he, that's nothing to do, at least directly with his role, yet he volunteered. And I was like, okay, let's see what our students and,
So
member of staff
is that
maybe.
pure volunteering what he did?
Yeah, it is because he gets paid by the government, obviously it's on furlough scheme, and everything else is just him of his own time. So that was interesting. So I have a few questions prepared. Hopefully we'll see some other people joining as well. Robbie, if you'd be so kind to monitor comments for interesting add-ons, and if anyone wants to kind of join in, feel free to follow the link which Robbie will be able to pass on.
I think peace is
And Peace is already
having some
struggling
problems.
with her technical stuff. That's okay, honey. You can be in the comments if you're struggling going live. I understand.
I mean,
Internet nowadays is
I'm
a.
still here. Like, I'm still listening, but I think I'm
Oh,
gonna
that's
turn my
fine. Oh, that's
I'm gonna turn my camera off just
you're
because
you're
it's a nightmare.
faceless person. Oh, look who's here. The one and only Nikki
Hello,
Curtis.
Nikki.
Hi, Nikki.
Hi, Nikki.
Oh,
I
Hi,
like
peace.
I'm
oh,
I'm
who's
a bit free today.
Hi, Paulo.
Hello, hello, hello. Hello.
I'm hearing like an echo.
okay? Okay. Is someone echoing or
So, I don't have
no?
much time
No. I'm
because
gonna find out
someone.
something. That
Hi.
I think it's Paulo. Paulo, I've muted you because we can hear our own
We
voices
can
through
hear
your
ourselves in
phone.
your.
So I'm gonna give Paulo on a quick screen so you can see that he's actually working. Paulo, stay like that so people can see. So Paulo has been volunteering. He sent me a picture which I'm gonna share a bit later on, and he's been doing quite a few bits with his father. Wait, I'm gonna mute everybody. So Paulo, you can tell us what you've been up to. Bear with me. Technical. Cool. So I'm gonna ask you the question: how is the volunteering and what you've been doing since you've been back home?
So, I've been working with my dad, and yeah, that's pretty much it. This is the last week. I've been learning a lot about health. Yeah, that's it.
So how did you get involved with that?
I mean, obviously,
You're a
Because
student
my
and
dad
you
is
focus
a
on
chief
the
nurse in multiple like centers here in Lisbon, so I have the opportunity to go and to learn.
and what exactly do you
and
do
what
from
exactly do you do
from
from
I can't tell. I'm doing
Okay,
like in the clinic. I'm doing pharmacy. So I sort the medicine. I put in the system because there is like an order to do things. So it's kind of like this. The medicine come to the clinic. You have to put it on the system, like the entrance of the pills and stuff, and then you have to log out. So log in and log out the pills. And that's it. And then sort out the medication for everyone as well. So I've been learning about that.
oh nice.
Today,
Okay, so and you
I'm doing a different thing, but still learning.
oh, we get a comment from the person on our Facebook page. Thanks for all the creators for helping during this crisis. That's really nice. You see, like talking appreciated. Thank you for commenting, James. I'm gonna put everybody on mute. I'm not gonna like, oh, some- thanks, Paolo. I'm just blocking your mic for a second because I think it creates a bit of a distortion. So here's Nikki as well. Okay, well, I'm gonna start today's conversation. Let me just put the questions on, so we can go around as usual, and people can just really share their opinion or what their experience was like, and then we can talk around that. Okay, so here's the first question. Robbie?
When was the last time you have volunteered? If so, what did you do and for how long? Um, Last time I volunteered was 3 years ago. I was doing charity fundraising for Cancer Research UK, doing door knocking, cold calling, basically.
And
That
how
was
long
the
did
last
you do it
time.
for?
6 months?
Nice. Okay, there is a follow-up question, so remember your example. What about you, Nikki? Oh, wait, let me unmute you because I think your microphone is on mute. Can't unmute you guys because they chose to mute themselves. But Nikki, you need to unmute your microphone because I can't unmute you. Nice.
You're echoing, Sia. You're the one who's echoing.
Am I?
Yeah.
Not me.
I think
Okay,
it might
well,
be from you as well.
I'll be right back in that case. Okay, I'll be right back. Robbie,
Okay.
can you continue with the conversation?
Okay, no worries. So, Nikki, when was the last time you volunteered?
Well, I volunteer, believe it or not, at the moment because I'm a governor at the University of and a director of the University of Chichester, and it's a voluntary position.
Okay.
I give it an awful lot of my time. I've given it probably a day this week.
Can you tell us a little bit of what you do there, or is it
Well, I'm on the board. I'm on the board of governors, so I oversee the strategy of the university, the University of Chichester. So all governing bodies of any of those sort of institutions, they're voluntary positions. You don't get paid for them. So my key role there is anything to do with enterprise and employability. So you know,
How long have you been doing that for?
I have been doing it for 2 years. I'm just about to go into my third year. It's a 3-year term. You're invited in for 3 years.
Wow.
So it's interesting. We're just awarding the next catering contract, which is like £5 million, you know, and how they go through and decide which caterers to use and all sorts of different things like that. So quite interesting. Yeah.
Well,
so that's my bit. Yeah.
I think it's safe to say you
So
won
here-
the best answer in this. But
Yeah.
Here's a comment from James as well. I'm done some online castings and read thoughts to keep busy. Plus, being able to edit my latest short film keeps me from getting bored. Well, that's pretty good. I mean, to be able to add your own, keep your creativity still going and make something useful out of it. I think it's pretty good. Peace, what about you? What?
Volunteer work. I think the last volunteer work I did was actually quite a while ago, which is really bad. But I volunteered at my secondary school, and I was just helping in the media department. So pretty much just helping them with like anything they needed, like it needed edited or looked at or tweaked, and just advice. And then also helped set up their like Oscars nights they did, and I really like kind of enjoyed that just because when I was in secondary school, I kind of wished that I had someone to help me in something that I was interested in, which was media at the time. So if I could help other media students, then yeah, I did really enjoy doing that. Um,
Very nice thought.
I think right now for me, I think one of the reasons why I haven't quite yet volunteered is because I'm in my final year, so I'm still trying to like finish up my last assignments, and I think what I'm kind of waiting for is for me to feel a bit more secured in that before I can um, sort of give up more time. It's just because I generally have just been focusing on a lot of my assignments, but as soon as that is once I'm secure in that, I'm definitely going to look into volunteering where I can.
All right. There was no one judging you for, spending your time on FMP and other important things right now. So fair play to you.
I think it's important to notice that volunteering, you do it for good cause, but you do it because you have the time to do it as well. Like, I feel like a lot of people, it almost feels like, at least for me, it almost felt like when you do volunteering, it's mandatory to do it. Like, people need to remember that you do it because you have the time and the resources to do, and obviously you support the cause that you stand for. So I'm just gonna, like, I used to do a bit of volunteering during my uni years for Rolls Road charity. We did quite a few events for them, and then before I moved to the UK, I did a bit of volunteering in a local library. 'Cause I have a thing about print, so magazines and books and stuff like that. So yeah, I've been doing on and off, and even through my own practice, like I sometimes donate to charities when I do, like when I get a better project, I'll put some money on the side and I'll give it to a charity. So even for my freelance practice, I think it creates a better impression on my customers, and it just feels good because I have, it's not a lot, but it's something I can give, and it makes me feel better as well. And one thing I was gonna say, like volunteering for me doesn't come quite naturally. Like I like to help, but I don't think I always have the time to do that. So sometimes I struggle. And today, actually, that's a good point. I've donated to a charity called Children of Bulgaria. Somebody asked on that
Mm.
on Facebook that for donation, so I did that. So every little shape and form of volunteering matters, I guess.
As Tesco says, every little helps. So
Nice. No product placement today. Hi, Robbie. Moving on to question 2. Oh,
what are the personal benefits of volunteering? Um, on on a slightly selfish level, I guess personal satisfaction. You know, you're doing something good.
mm.
You go to bed better at night, I guess. Um, other than knowing that you're doing something good, I don't really see any other personal benefits.
You don't? I personally think, for example, like depends on obviously what kind of volunteering. You learn to not take things for granted. Like when when you're providing support for something, you understand when something is lack or in need, you kind of get more value for it. You understand how much is valued for other people, and then it makes you think, actually, have I been selfish? Have I been taking things for granted, like when other people need it on such a high level? And then also it lets you build new skills, I think, like dealing with other people in need makes you tap into parts of you that predominantly you wouldn't necessarily use on day-to-day basis, which I think is very important. And the best part, I think, is the social aspect of it. Again, it depends on the volunteering. I think it's important to be more human than normally. Like yesterday, for example, this is nothing to do with volunteering, but it's an impression of mine. And my grandparents have always told me, like, always smile and greet people. It doesn't matter who they are. And maybe that's a settle in my head, but I've been going. I went for a walk with my flatmate, and we went to the common park. Everything was going fine, and we saw quite a few people, but only 1 or 2 people said hi or greeted. And I was thinking, like, again, you don't know what people are going through, but at the same time, it doesn't cost you anything to smile or say hi to people. And I think little things like that can be, life changing for people. Like it makes your day, and for me, it all goes back to like how you how you open yourself to the world and how other people perceive you and stuff like that. So for me, these are important things. What about you,
That's
Nikki?
a good advice
What
for
do
everyone.
you think are the
Smile.
what do you think are the personal benefits of volunteering?
Oh, why did I volunteer to do what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Why did I do it? I got to meet lots of new people, which has been interesting. I get a free car parking spot. That's one of the things I like. I know this is crazy, but I get a prime parking spot right outside the Vice Chancellor's door, and I can park there. And then
Yes.
you can Southampton do some shopping into selfish, actually. I can do that.
I can't hear you. Am I doing it?
I can
Is
hear
it just
Nikki.
me or the sound has gone a bit funny?
No,
Yeah.
I can't hear Nikki.
Sorry,
Nikki,
Nikki, I couldn't hear that.
wait,
It's
Nikki,
playing
I'm
up
gonna
today.
1 second. Hold on, Nikki. I'm just gonna kick you out for a second, just to see if that's gonna fix
No
it.
water.
And then invite John. Say something again, Nikki.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes. You see, little tricks like that do help. So you were saying, Nikki.
Which bit did you miss? My free car parking spot.
No, I got that.
We heard that. Yeah.
I think that's probably all I said, really, wasn't it? And that I've met loads of interesting people. I've learned a lot about big finance, revolving credit loans, how to raise 10 million if you need it, so it's been interesting. It's volunteering, but it's volunteering in a very different way. So, yeah.
It is personal growth, isn't it?
It's definitely been personal growth for me, but in a very different way. Yeah.
I mean, you still earned something back. You still gained something from the experience. So, volunteering is not just for you to give. I think people don't realize that there is a lot of give and take type of thing,
Oh, you
whether
just
it's
saw
skill
my
set or.
voice, yeah.
Oh, sorry, Pete. Go for it. That was me eating you in. Go for it.
Oh, thank
All
you.
yours.
I was just gonna say that I kind of like heavily believe in karma, and that most specifically good karma, and everyone knows that life is really it really is about give and take, and I think the more you give, you should give to other people, because I think you never know where life might take you, and if you find yourself in a situation where you do need some help, I think me personally, I would feel a lot more better if I've lost what I was going to say now. Actually, okay, let me just start again. I was just trying to say, I was just trying to say that you should always sort of do unto others how you would want to sort of be treated. So if you would like to, in your time of need, be looked after and helped, it's also important for you to do that to people who need your help and need support as well. And that's just what I believe. Basically, like, you have to give to people before you can take. Yeah.
You definitely made a really good point there.
Treat
Exactly.
everyone the same way you'd like to be treated.
Yeah.
Or as the internet says, be the person your dog thinks you are.
Robbie, you're full of wisdom today. You should do that every Friday. Right, off to question number 3.
Would you consider
Robbie?
volunteering for a cause that challenges your skills and knowledge of a certain subject? In a certain way, that was actually a challenge for me because I haven't really dealt with any charities before working here in the UK. So that was a completely new area for me. Um, Also, as a side note, just as a helpful hint for everyone helping charities, it's better to help in a constant way than a one-off thing. because that allows charity to plan ahead, and that's a really good thing for them. But yeah, that would be my answer for that.
Nice. I think personally, like I'm sometimes very uncertain. Like I can easily get scared of something that might be an area of lack of knowledge for me and stuff like that. So I would definitely need to be have researched something or prepared before I can dive into a subject that I might want to volunteer for, but I'm not sure, or I might mess up something. For example, just an example, I think because my grandfather used to have a very light stage of Alzheimer's. I think that's one of those things I don't think I'll be capable of dealing with, and I totally have respect and admirations to people who do that on a daily basis, because I think it's just so emotionally draining. And I mean, I'm a wedding photographer, so when I hear people even doing their own speeches, and like that makes me tearful. So even going through stuff like that, as the example with the Alzheimer's I gave earlier, I think that probably be very difficult for me. So it depends on the subject, I guess. I'll definitely like to learn something new and try something new, but I think it needs to be within reason. Like I would like to think I know my limits, and I think certain things are definitely no for me. But I like to be challenged, so I guess 50-50. And Nikki, what do you think?
Oh, I take the Richard Branson approach. Say yes and learn how to do it afterwards. I've done an awful lot of things in my life that I didn't know anything about. And then I found out how to do it afterwards.
Sometimes you have to run before you can walk.
Yeah. So that's the attitude I've taken.
I like that. It's a good philosophy to have.
You get certain opportunities, don't you? And I was manufacturing corporate clothing, and the unit next door to us, industrial unit next door, the guy was selling carpets, and he said, "Do you think you can make a 3-piece suite?" And I said, "Well, it's material. I'll have a go." And a year later, I've got a sofa and chair business, selling sofas and chairs. Went into furniture manufacturing rather than corporate clothing. So, yeah, you just sometimes if you say it changes your direction, and if you read Richard Branson's books, that's what he says. They always say,
Actually,
how to do it afterwards.
But do you think that applies to everything? Like, I feel like certain areas you can't just jump in and like play it by ear, if you know what I mean. I feel like most of the times you can apply that to almost everything. But I feel like there are certain areas that you need to come up with at least some sort of understanding and maybe a bit of knowledge before you can get there and do the thing. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yes. If you ask me to be a computer programmer, obviously I'm not going to jump in. If you're talking about doing something entrepreneurial, then I think we can all do that, because we can get people to help us and show us the way. But if it's a technical skill, then obviously I can't do that.
I wouldn't go into wild animal training or something.
Me, well, considering I haven't done like quite a lot of volunteering. I haven't done like volunteering that much. I do want to say that I do commend everyone who does do that and put themselves out there to one, help people, but like also what the question says, it does help you as well. It could help you in ways of like learning how to care a bit more, learning how to, I don't know, I think it's different for each volunteer work, but you do sort of learn more about, you definitely do learn more about what you're volunteering for. Like, but I just want to say, like, literally everyone who is volunteering, you're like doing an amazing job. Like, you're helping, you're definitely helping someone, not just yourself.
Yeah.
Nicely summed up.
Yeah.
Robbie, were you about to say something? Oh, okay.
No.
Moving on to the next question.
What personal traits are required when it comes to volunteering?
Kind.
I would
Friendly.
say, depends on the
field. I think openness. I think,
on the circumstances. For example,
open mind, definitely.
With us,
Yeah.
Empathy, probably.
Empathy, yeah.
That's a really good, empathy. I think is a whole subject where we can discuss another catch up. But I think it's just such a set of traits that, Nikki, you can correct me, but I think the same traits can be applied to when it comes to freelancing and entrepreneurship as well. Similarly,
Yeah.
I think for me personally, I think it's openness and and kindness. That's the two main things when it comes to volunteering personally. I think openness for the sake of being able to process and take on new information and deal with new situations that you haven't dealt with before. And kindness is, nobody's perfect, and we're all doing what we do for that cause. So there is no, there is no reason of why we should, get grumpy or annoyed with people when probably would mess it up ourselves. So, just be kind.
Yeah. I guess the basic thing would be empathy because you're doing a non-selfish thing, but then it depends on the field itself. If we're talking about different traits, for example, if you're doing meals and serving them to homeless people, then you basically just need the mechanical and the empathy, and you can do it. But then if you go like I did, door knocking, there's a bit of sales involved as well.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that people are bad and need to be convinced to pay for charities, but sometimes they don't realize that it's something so small and it helps so much. So they have to be convinced.
I had I don't know if any of you have been to India, but I had the most amazing experience in India. I went to one of the food kitchens, and they have these massive areas, and they're sort of obviously open churches, and anybody can go for a free meal. It's not, you don't have to be, poor or homeless or anything else, and you just go and have a meal. But the strange thing about it was that and it was all run by volunteers, but there was a huge waiting list. So if you were to put your name down to volunteer for a day, or to cook the meals, you'd probably have to wait 6 months to be able to get the slot to come up.
Wow.
And while we were there, the farmers were bringing in, truckloads of vegetables and food and everything to make the lunches with. And they were huge, great lunches as well. They came on a tray with all that you'd expect from an Indian meal. And it was just the thing to do. If you wanted to go and have a meal for free, you just went and had a meal for free. It was just an amazing experience. And it was thought, the volunteering part of it was what everybody did. And that's why it took so long for your time, your turn to come around.
I feel like, Nikki, the example you've just given is so crazy because I feel like volunteering is almost embedded in some cultures. Like it almost is like a norm for existence. Well, like I personally, from what I've experienced back home, that wasn't the case. Like volunteering is something that you do on the side, and it's just interesting. Like you said, it's almost unimaginable because not a lot of countries, from my understanding, do that. So it's quite interesting.
It was an amazing experience, and the kitchen was full of people in different rooms. Some people were making chapatis. We sat down and made chapatis. Others were making the soup, and it was and just the amount of food that was coming in. Because on some days they might feed several hundred people a day. I've got some amazing images of it. I'll have to share them with you.
You have to take us sometime.
Yeah,
sounds really good.
Really interesting.
Okay, please, do you have anything to add on? Because I can't see you, that's why I'm asking you.
I can't see you, Is.
Oh, Nikki, it's a whole nother problem.
A whole nother catch up for next Friday.
So audio is fine, but when I put my camera on, I'm in slow-mo for some reason, but you guys are like normal speed, and it's just driving me insane. So I've just
yeah, we've decided today she's gonna be the voice of wisdom. So the last question that we have for today, to kind of wrap up this short catch up, is a question that was passed from Carolina Varrett, if she's watching. And I just want to see what you guys have to say. It's nothing to do with volunteering, so it's a bit of a different topic, but it has to do with the current circumstances.
Who would you like to be after the quarantine is over? Who would you like to be after the quarantine is over? At least the same, and not with PTSD from sitting in all day, I guess.
I think for me personally, is I definitely want to feel more comfortable with myself, spending time with myself, and be more patient. Because sometimes, like, well, even nowadays, now after a few weeks being at home, I'm starting to feel insane. Even though there's quite a few things to do, I just want to be outside, if that makes sense. And I would like to take this as an experience that will teach me how to be more patient within myself, and make the time productive rather than just wasting it and be like, okay, when is this gonna be over? So that's my take on that.
I would like to be a routine person because I found myself during this whole lockdown situation sort of doing the same things every day. I don't know if you've seen the movie Groundhog Day, but it's almost like that, where it's like repeating the same day every day and just slightly changing it a bit. But
just to see where you've mistaken it.
Sorry, what did you say?
Just to see where you have to fix it in order for everything to go back to normal.
Yeah. So yeah, I would like to have a more routine schedule after quarantine is over.
And you, Nikki?
It's a difficult question for me because I'm in a much better position than you. I've got space and I've got outside, and I've got a very large allotment. So I've been able to move around.
Tom just added this comment on our Facebook. Thanks for the comment, Tom.
Be the change,
that you wish to see in the world, Muhammad Gandhi. So that's a really good way to wrap
the
up.
dog thing I said earlier, isn't it?
No.
What did you say?
Be the person your dog thinks you are. Kind of the same thing.
Yeah, Robbie, let's give the credit where it's due,
Okay. Gandhi can have this one. Okay.
Yeah. With that quote, I just want to say thanks for whoever was watching. At some point we had 10 people watching live, so that was good. And thanks for all the comments and the participation from the usual suspects: Nikki Curtis, business lead; Robbie, I keep forgetting your title, Robbie, graduate enterprise coordinator.
That's the one.
Myself as the coordinator, and Peace Olabode, third year media production student, who you can't see today, but normally you can.
You can't see my face, but I am like waving and cheering and excited.
Good. And just a final note before we leave this, I want to remind that next Friday, 8th of May, at what time was it, Robbie? 12? Was it 12:30? 12 o'clock. We're delivering a Q&A with one of our alumni, Dean Massey, who was directly linked with Solent Creatives, and now he works as a camera operator for Sky. So if you guys want to join in, ask questions, or hear his twist
any film students, media production students, join in. You get really welcome. Beautiful insight on what it's like to work for Sky News. So join in.
On that note, thank you very much, and see you next Friday.
Bye, Pete.
Bye.
Bye.